I was so sick of eating myself to the point of uncomfortable fullness and wanting to throw up. Hey guys, it's Mish here, and today I wanted to share my experience with learning how to eat intuitively after 10 years of binging and restricting, just in case it could help anyone else out there hoping to learn how to eat intuitively. My body's hunger signals have been messed up for as long as I can remember. When I was a kid, my parents would make me clean my plate, and I remember even as young as 11, I was just stuffing myself every single day with chicken pot pies for lunch that were over 1,000 calories, and I was sedentary, so I was a rather chubby 11-year-old, and I didn't really understand how to eat when I'm hungry and stop when I'm full. And then in middle school, I restricted my calories and got down to a very underweight BMI without meaning to. I just didn't really have the hunger signals and fullness signals. They were just completely messed up. And then at the end of high school, I started calorie counting, and that lasted for 5 years. I've had a long history of eating like that, so I remember freshman year of college, I went to a Mexican restaurant with my friend, and it was so amazing, and we had 3 courses, and I ate so much that I actually had to throw up when I got home. And I didn't make myself throw up, I'd eaten so much my body could not take it. That's when I realized I had a serious problem. And then it took me to my junior year of college to finally get things together. And so I remember through all of college, my whole goal was to eat as many vegetables as possible and to try to just eat more cleanly. But every day I craved mochas and pastries and donuts and all kinds of stuff, and I would get a mocha almost every day, and yet it never actually made me happy because I was so guilty about it. And I never actually felt satisfied, and so I kept craving them every day because it's almost like I never actually got to enjoy these treats. And so I never fulfilled that craving for them. And also the fact that I felt guilty afterwards sort of made them forbidden foods, which I think made me want them more. Because every time I had a mocha, I'd think, oh my gosh, this is the last mocha. And then that would stress me out a bunch, and I didn't get to enjoy it, like I said. So then the next day I would get another one, and I spent a lot of money on mochas and pastries from Whole Foods and stuff. So all the signs suggested that I was a hopeless case when it came to intuitive eating, but yet I still managed to. So I'll just go through how I did it, like how I started and how the transition went and all of that. I first heard about the idea of intuitive eating and wanted to try it in March 2015. So the first thing I did was pick up a book called Intuitive Eating, and I'll put the link below in case it could help some of you, because I found it somewhat useful because some of the ideas made sense to me, like stopping being restrictive and stop listening to the food police, which are the thoughts that tell you that certain foods are bad or good. And I did have some success with the principles in the book, but I noticed I was still binging quite a bit. So I remember in the first week, I ate like 7 or 8 Thin Mints that I'd made. They're like big cookies in the night after dinner, and I felt so sick. I was just so mad at myself, and I thought that it wasn't working and that I'd never be able to eat intuitively, and I was so sick of eating myself to the point of uncomfortable fullness and wanting to throw up. So although I considered my initial experiment that March to be kind of a failure because I wasn't able to suddenly become an intuitive eater, I think it was really a good foundation because over the course of that summer, I gradually just let myself have more treats. I just tried to remove the idea that foods are forbidden and to stop feeling guilty about food. And that's when I started also incorporating high carb, low fat. And so by the time I started my senior year of college in fall 2015, I went fully high carb, low fat and tried the starch solution. And I think that's really when I learned how to eat intuitively. And I think high carb really worked well for me because one of the barriers for me actually finally letting go of control over food is that I was really afraid I was going to gain weight if I tried intuitive eating, because that March I had binged so much I was sure I would just blow up in weight if I tried to follow my body's hunger cues. But thanks to high carb, I was able to eat whenever I wanted, whatever I wanted, and I was able to stop when I was full, and it was just amazing. Like, I can't describe how amazing it is to be able to have freedom after so many years of just trying to restrict and always binging and feeling sick and having a terrible relationship with food. So my main tips for learning how to eat intuitively is, first and most importantly, remove all guilt around food. When you have a treat, Just enjoy it and tell yourself that it's a treat and you deserve it, and it's okay to eat fun things sometimes, even if it isn't perfectly in line with your weight loss or health goals. So number one is remove all bad thoughts around food. And of course, that's much easier said than done, but just give it time. It did take me, I guess, about 8 months total to really go from full binging and restricting to full intuitive eating. And that was after 10 years. So honestly, actually 10 plus years, because even when I was a kid, I had a problem. So the fact that it only took 8 months after 10 years is pretty amazing. That's really fast in my mind. So my second tip is just be patient and trust in the process. You might binge at the beginning and it might feel really crappy, and you might think there's no hope for you, but if it worked for me, I wholeheartedly believe that you can do it too, because I was sure it was a lost cause, but here I am, eating when I'm hungry and stopping when I'm full. And so third is really try to learn your body's cues. For some people, hunger comes in the form of hunger pangs. That's the most common one we hear of. But for me, my stomach is pretty weird. I only really get hunger pangs in the middle of the night or like early in the morning. But in the rest of the day, my hunger generally manifests in the form of feeling a little bit shaky or getting kind of weak. Like when I'm biking, I'll notice I can't go as fast. Just learn your own personal hunger cues. Just look for signs that seem to come when you haven't eaten in a while and go away once you've eaten. And it will take practice. So it did take a couple months for me to actually be able to listen to my hunger cues and my fullness cues, because I hadn't listened to them in so many years. I didn't really know what they felt like. And my body had probably kind of given up in a sense, because I never listened to it anyway, so why even bother? My fourth tip is that if you count calories, stop. It took me a long time from when I decided to start intuitively eating to when I finally succeeded. It took me about 4 months to stop counting calories. And so it is hard, because I really love data and I love feeling like I know what I ate and having control over all that. But the whole key is that you need to learn to trust your body. And if you're constantly tallying up all those numbers to feel assured of what you ate, then you're not really trusting your body. And also, if you stop calorie counting, it's a good way to help remove the guilt, because then you won't look back on it later and say, oh no, I ate too many calories for breakfast or something like that. And you'll just learn how much your body needs at what times of day. And it doesn't matter what other people say, because everyone's different, and some people might like to have a big breakfast and others might like to eat before bed. So that brings me to my fifth tip, which is to remove all rules around food. Because there's a lot of things floating around out there that say, oh, you should eat breakfast like a king and dinner like a pauper or something like that, which means that supposedly big dinners are bad, and that you shouldn't eat before bed, and that you should eat every 2 hours to keep your metabolism going. Honestly, most of these rules, in fact, I would say all of them, are crap. You should just eat what you want, when you want, because your body will tell you. And everyone's metabolism is different. We all need different amounts of fuel for different parts of the day, depending on our activity levels. So you just need to learn to eat to your own body's rules instead of these imposed rules on your body. It's gonna be really hard, and you're probably gonna doubt yourself along the way, but there are lots of us out there who have succeeded, and soon you will join us if you just try your best and really decide that you wanna have a good relationship with food and your body. Because it's so worth it. Like now, whereas I used to have mochas every day, like I said, I now don't even crave them, or I really rarely crave them, and when I do, I just have one, and then that's the only mocha I want that month. And if I want one again the next day, it's fine, but that hasn't really happened, just because I realize, where I used to always crave fats and pizza type things and pastries and all that, now I just actually crave vegetables. I've been craving a big bowl of zucchini noodles for days. So I went out and I got my zucchinis, and I had a huge bowl of zucchini noodles. And a year ago, I couldn't have even imagined myself wanting vegetables, because I always used to have to force myself to eat vegetables thinking it was the best thing for me, which, I mean, it is, but it's so much more pleasant when your body actually tells you what it craves, and then you eat vegetables because they make you happy, not because you feel like you have to. So those are my tips for how to learn how to eat intuitively and what worked for me. And I hope they can be helpful to some of you in your journey. Please like or subscribe for more videos, and thanks for watching.